everyone. This is A.S.D.P, UFOologist Paul Welburn from North Yorkshire in the UK, and you're watching the Alien Strand podcast with your amazing host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. All right, so today's going to be UAP Weekly number 6. Yeah, so we're going to be getting into it with Mr. Terry Lynch. We're going to go into a couple of nice things tonight. Some of the unknown. We're going to go into a little bit of the paranormal, and we're going to watch a few UFO videos, man, because that's what we do. I hope you guys enjoyed that trailer for Alien Strand, the middle part 2, CE3. That is coming. It's coming real soon. All right. So I was actually working on it today. Yeah. So it's like I told you guys on the last one, editing is editing, man. It just takes forever sometimes, but we have to get it right. We have to get it right. Hi, Shannon. How you doing today? So, it's going to be an interesting podcast today. So we have a lot of things to go over. Don't forget, follow us on Patreon, Alien Strand Extras. We have that there. We do have a lot of free stuff there too. So if you don't have the app, download the Patreon app, right? Download the app and then search Alien Strand. You'll find us there. Follow us there. We do have a lot of free stuff on there that you can check out as well. All right, so go check that out, and see if you guys like it. We're gonna throw all the extra stuff that's not really on here. Okay, so that's the good thing about that, right? So if you did catch our last podcast, our latest one, not our last one, but our latest one, that's contacted with Miss Laurie Bodie. I'm sorry. So she had a lot of interesting things to talk about since her childhood, and a lot of extraterrestrial visitations and supernatural as well. So we got to get on everything, on that podcast. She was an excellent guest to be on the show, and this was her first time. She was very nervous, but she was able to get that information out to us. And thank you, Laurie, for that. We really appreciate you. It's and a lot of people chimed in from A.S.D.P. We all work together, and it's everybody just chimes in on everything. So if you haven't watched the middle, go check that out. It's still on Amazon Prime, $2.99 there. You can't beat that with a stick. No commercials, right? That's the good thing about that, right? Catch it on Tubi TV, TCL. Give us a thumbs up. Thrills TV, Hoopla, we're all over. We're still on Amazon Prime. I think that's the only one that's paid, right? So, and it's only $2.99. Man, it's nothing. A bag of chips, right? So go check that out. And that it helps us go a long way, and it helps the actual movie go to different countries, right? Because the more people that watch this and follow it, the analytics start getting a little bit better for it, and then they start sharing it to more countries. More countries get involved in watching things like this. Okay, so don't forget, like I said, the middle two. You just saw the promo trailer for that. I hope you guys are ready for these folks. They're excellent people. They're just wonderful people. I've met every single one of them. I actually had a talk with Robert today, Robert Bowe, there in Texas here. So he's got a lot of new footage that we're going to be putting on the movie. So get ready for that. Because the more footage that we have, the more things that it's easier for you to understand what these people are going through. And not just it's not easy for people to go through a lot of these things, what they're having to go through as far as extraterrestrial visitations, and then they have nightmares. Sometimes they get scratches. It's not all good. And they end up coping with it. You get a lot of a post-traumatic stress disorder from it as well. So I hope you guys, hopefully you get to catch up on that when it does come out. When it does come out, believe me, you guys will be the first to know, right? So don't forget, follow us on A.S.D.P. Twitter. We're live right now on YouTube. Follow us there, subscribe, please hit a like. We're live on Facebook, and we're live on X, man. What more can you ask for? AKA Twitter, right? So like I said, if you do have any kind of paranormal a UFO you need to report, go to asdp-ufo.com or alienstrand.com. Go to our sister page there, and you'll be able to get in contact with us, right? So, like I said, if you want to get a hold of Alien Strand, we do have a hotline. So it's 361-245-8000. Okay, 361-245-8000. If you want to talk about something that happened to you, you can actually talk to me one-on-one. If you want to get on the show, I just had a gentleman call me today. It's actually on this hotline today. So we're going to actually we got a full schedule for this month. A lot of new guests coming in, and a lot of people that want to get their story out to you because they're just tired of hanging on to it, and they want to get it off their chest. So get ready for a lot of new shows that are coming. And like I said, follow A.S.D.P. if you want to be a representative. Hit me up on Instant Messenger or Mr. Terry Lynch, right? And we'll have a little meeting with you, and then we'll get you on the show. Speaking of, not just on the show, but we're going to get you as a representative of your state. So speaking of Mr. Terry Lynch, let's go ahead and bring him on in today. We're going to be talking about a couple of photos, videos, and let's get into that now. All right, here we go.
Hello, A.S.D.P. world. How is everybody doing tonight?
Right on, brother.
How you doing tonight, Donald?
Good so far. I just ate dinner, a little late, but it's okay. Mama made a good dinner, and then now I'm drinking a cup of coffee, some Joe, before I go to bed. Right? I don't know how that's going to happen tonight. So
you gotta try my serum.
Oh, I know. Hey, I just might. So, we have a lot of things to talk about today. Tonight we call the show "The Eye of the Beholder," right? Because we have a special something that Terry's going to show us tonight, and it's going to make a lot of sense of what we're talking about today. we there's a lot of things out there in the unknown world that we just don't get to understand what things are, right? And I'm going to show you this photo tonight of something that happened in Brazil here about a month ago. Somebody took some photos, and it just looks kind of strange, of what it is. We don't know exactly what it is. We can't tell if it's a primate or anything like that. We don't know what it is. But let's go ahead and put this picture up.
There you go.
Right. So, I mean, when you see this photo, so we right now we have a photo of it looks like I got two buildings. There's a building with a gate, and something is walking in between them. Has these long legs, small torso, long arms, almost as long as the legs, and it just doesn't have a defined head in the photo. But it they said it was large, and to me, it just doesn't look that large if you kind of look at the photo, right? What do you think about this, Terry?
Well, being a Clint Eastwood fan, I uh, I would have to say that this right here looks like it's either a smaller Bigfoot, which is what they call the skunk in Florida, or an orangutan.
Orangutan.
Because the length of the arms, the body, the way it looks like it's walking, it looks like a couple of them that have a infant or young baby with them.
Right.
And but then again, unless you're there, you can't really say what you've got here. The fact that it's walking through town tells me that it has a little more trust for humans than, like, say, Sasquatch walking through uh, like some town in Washington State or Oregon State. Um,
I
this
remember
they got quite a good build here.
yeah, it does. But I remember in the description of this when I posted it that it said it was massive, it was huge. But I don't see them. I mean, it looks big from the upper mass of the body. Could it be a younger one, or maybe something different? Because look at this. Look at the length of the arms. That's what
Well,
I'm looking for.
you also got to keep in mind that the orangutan is not from this location of the world either.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they got howler monkeys that they're smaller, and they're, if you look them in the eye, they're very aggressive. But
Right.
something like this right here, this doesn't, being in Brazil, this it doesn't make sense that it's where it is in
Right.
this location.
Well, so
So
Shannon's saying, so do you think a Sasquatch is alien? She said these look kind of young.
yeah, I wouldn't think that a Sasquatch would be an alien, so to speak. I think that they're probably pre us, you know, not the car, but pre pre
Right.
humans,
Mhm.
and it's something that we maybe evolved down from or up to. I'm not sure.
Right.
I do know that they've got, again, I've mentioned this on a few of the shows. They had tall red-headed cannibal types that were like Easter Island, northern Peru, the mountain people, or the cloud people is what they called them. They had some in Idaho, just a little ways over from me,
Right.
where the Paiute and everybody came in on them, and they got them all into a cave because they were eating their people. So they smoked them, lit fires at the entrance to this cave that they chased them all into,
Mhm.
and they were like much taller than what we're looking at right now. They were close to 10 feet tall.
Right.
Um,
Well, because if you look at the door, look at the size of the photo we're looking at. There's like a house behind it with a tree on the right.
mhm,
If you look at the doorway is much taller, and it doesn't seem too far away from the street or the actual door. So
right
that's why I'm kind of thinking that this is not massive. It's just a strange looking creature. It's just
now. I'm
strange.
I'm kind of wondering. I'm kind of wondering if there was something that happened with a local zoo in the area. Maybe something got loose. Maybe a couple of orangutan.
It's a
Um,
possibility.
but those arms seem to be a lot longer than your average orangutan. he's standing straight up and he's touching the ground.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Clyde didn't quite do that.
Right. And there's not just one. There's a, it looks
No,
like one on the
there's a
right, one on
family.
the left, and then a small one in the middle, like a
Yeah, it looks like
baby.
a family of them.
And it's got this, they all have the same body shape. That's
It
what I'm
looks like they
looking at.
kind of have the same canter when they're walking as well.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, I would like to. I'd like to find out if there's more footage of this other than what we have currently.
Right.
And this actually all looks like it was taken from a video of some sort. I don't think there was somebody standing out there taking the picture. Quite
Right.
frankly, if I was standing out in the street with my, by the way, everybody, I'm Nikon.
Yeah.
I want to make sure everybody knows I'm Nikon, and Nikon needs to think about that. Anyway, if I was standing out there with my Nikon and I saw this coming down the street, I might think twice about being out on the street taking this picture because you don't know. Now, Shannon, I believe that they're a lot larger than sloths, and
Yeah.
sloths crawl across the ground.
Right.
So this, yeah, I don't believe it would be a sloth. They also kind of look like they're moving faster than what a sloth would move.
And
Sometimes,
it's kind of standing upright as well. And doesn't
right?
a sloth like almost drag
Yeah, they
itself?
they lay down and they drag themselves across streets and they get into trees and they slowly move up them. And
And
you
that's a great
absolutely don't want
observation.
them to touch you because they'll
Right.
grab you.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great observation. Great question, Shannon. I mean,
Yeah,
it could be, well, I mean, not a sloth, but hey, it's just something that nobody's ever seen before. Somebody caught it out there in Brazil. Now, speaking of strange images, of course, I talk about Bigfoot, things like that, and sometimes our eyes tend to deceive us sometimes. So when we think we're seeing something, it might not be what we're looking at, right? And not everything that we're going to say is going to be, yeah, that's a Sasquatch, yeah, that's a UFO, because we have to really kind of think and analyze things and look at things a little bit deeper, how they're shot, how the video is, how the photo is, and then you have to look real deep into it to see how well the photo is, right? So we're going to show a photo here of they're both trail cams, and they caught something that almost looks like a Bigfoot. So let's check this out here.
oh, the one definitely looks like there's a Bigfoot standing in the woods there off to the backside.
Yeah.
Um, that definitely looks like something that would be. I mean, you can see the hands, you can see it down, hanging down by its side,
Yeah.
and the one on the other side looks like a black bear. For some reason, they've either befriended or something, but that also looks like a large grizzly bear with a black bear.
Yeah. When I
Um,
first saw that large um, creature next to the bear, the black bear, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! What the heck is a?" I mean, I know black bears can grow pretty big, but that what you're seeing on the left is pretty massive, pretty
yeah,
massive.
I,
And we pretty much think it's a grizzly bear, correct?
yeah, yeah. Now I've had the opportunity to be around different bears in my lifetime, as well as cougars. I've been in cages with them. I've been in the cage with a large black bear, Henry, the black
Right.
bear. He's a large black cinnamon, is what he is. He's about 800 pounder, big bear.
Right. Right.
I mean, his head's like compared to my head. Let's see if we get that. His head's like that compared to my head. And I actually seen him. We were taking pictures with him one day, and a friend of mine got flipped because Henry grabbed him by the face and pushed him. But
Wow.
yeah, I thought it was kind of neat. I was glad it was him, not me. And then I've had opportunity to see tall, linky bears out on the Cascade Lakes area where I do most of my research. And
Right.
then there was one day I was in the town of was it called White Cloud or Cloud, California. It's in northern, just next to Mount Shasta.
Right.
And we were on our way. I used to do conveyor systems, and we had spent the night down there. And I heard something tearing something up outside in the street. And I walked out, and I seen the biggest black bear I'd ever seen in my life. The thing it's almost the size of the one we're looking at here for the grizzly. It
Wow.
was it was well over. It had to have been well over 1,000 pounds. It was big, round, and its stomach was touching the ground, and
Uh-huh.
it tore everything, and I mean everything, out of the dumpster in a matter of seconds.
Oh
And it was
wow.
all over the street. It was just all over the street. I walked out trying to think, what am I doing now? Because now I'm outside and I'm with this giant bear, and that's probably not a good thing. I don't think that bear was afraid of me.
Wow.
So,
Uh,
and keep in mind, a black bear will stand its ground and fight you.
yeah. Yeah.
Where if you see the big brown grizzly, if you lay down, they sniff you, they'll either leave you or eat you. So,
Yeah, I'll take the first one, not the second one there.
right. Well,
um,
hey, you know what? I just watched Cocaine Bear last night, so
did you?
that's how I learned that.
Oh wow. So the Lion's Pride is on. He says that the pictures we showed before. He says those were simian sloths don't mace like that, huh? Okay. And then Shannon says the butt is bigger than a bear. So Angela says moose or bear. The only thing though, geez, what can it be? And that's what we're trying to figure out. Now the photo on the right. Let's go ahead and look at the photo on the right. When you look at it, it kind of, I'm going to blow it up just a little bit so you guys can see it out there in video land. I know in audio land, just kind of imagine what we're seeing here. So we're actually seeing a few trees with some brush on them, and it almost looks like you could see a whole body shape of something that's standing there or actually walking with his hands on its side. Massive torso area. Doesn't look very tall, but it's kind of hard to tell what we're looking at here. Whether it's a tree that looks like a Sasquatch, or are we looking at a Sasquatch? Well,
It
what do you think?
looks like two hands and legs and a head to me, and I would have to say that tree that's right beside it is probably 9 to 12 inches
Right,
on both sides. And you got a smaller one, which looks like it's about 5 to 6 inches. And then you got a bunch of sucker trees growing up around it. And you
right.
can see large trees behind it that are about the same size. I'm going to say that we're looking at something there that's probably close to 10 foot tall.
And then what are the chances of two stems growing out, looking like arms and hands, right on a trunk, of
Right.
a torso? So,
Right.
it's a possibility of I don't know exactly what we're seeing here, but
Mhm.
I wish there was more images that we were actually can see just to make a better definition of what we're watching here.
Yeah.
Sasquatch and Bigfoot. I mean, it's always out in the woods. We have the what is that? That wolf beast, whatever that's out there that people talk about all the
You're
time.
ta- are you talking about the Wendigo or the?
No, it's like half man, half wolf that's out there that it stands up like a man. It almost looks like American Werewolf in London, man. I've seen videos and photos of it, and it looks like a werewolf
Mhm.
that people have actually videotaped and talked about.
Chupacabra?
Maybe, but it's I don't know, but it's always in the brushy areas. It camouflages itself well, and that's how we're
Mhm.
trying to figure out exactly, what we're looking at, in these photos now. Um, Before we go into our next segment, that was a great segment that we talked about the unknown of what we were seeing there or what we're not seeing. But let's we're going to show a video here real quick, and it's going to be I was going to put one, but it's extremely loud and it's horrible. It's a great video, but it's too loud. So let's go ahead and watch this one. This one's going to be by an ocean. And when you first look at this video, let us know what you think, what you're seeing here. Here we go.
Доброго вечора, ми з України.
You see that?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
we had a craft hovering right over the ocean, probably about a couple of feet above the water. Somebody was filming by a beach, and you see that it's probably about maybe a mile away. Looks about a
Yeah.
mile away.
Probably about a mile, 2 miles out.
miles, 2 miles out, and then you just see it shoot straight up into the sky. Um, I know we talk about propulsion and things like that. What's your thoughts about that video there, Terry?
Well, usually when you look out on the ocean, sometimes there's a thing that plays tricks on your eyes, and it looks like the ship, like a cargo ship or freighter, whatever, could be out that far, and it
Right,
looks like it's actually hovering a lot over the top of the ocean.
right.
The one thing they never do though is go straight up like that.
Shoot straight up in the sky.
That yeah,
Yeah,
that tells me that the craft, again, I feel that they use hydrogen as part of their fuel system, and whether they've been in the ocean or they come out of the ocean, I feel that they're using hydrogen. Water, of course, is 2 parts oxygen, two parts hydrogen, H2O.
right.
1 part, sorry, 1 part oxygen, 2 parts hydrogen, and that's H2O. You get that. Um, anyway, you get what happens is they take that, and their hydrogen is very flammable,
Yeah.
extremely powerful gas. And I mean, if you don't believe me, and I don't recommend doing this, but if you take and you make a spark over a battery that's charging in a car,
Oh
there's a
yeah.
hydrogen gas over the top of it, and the battery will explode.
Yeah, it will.
So that's you don't want to make a spark while a battery's charging.
Yeah. That
That
happened to me.
hydrogen,
Yeah.
did it happen to you?
It happened to my
That
sister. She passed away, but it happened to her when she was working on a car many years ago. I remember that we had to
yeah,
go to the hospital because that battery blew up in her face when she.
right into
I
her
guess she
eyes.
had yeah, she had the caps off, and I don't know if somebody was smoking a cigarette or whatever over it, and boom, it just blew
Yeah, it
up.
doesn't take barely anything. I mean, just the
Right,
smallest spark will set that off.
right,
Anyway, hydrogen is a very volatile gas,
right,
and if you have it in a pure form, you could probably pull something like that off. I noticed that when it took off, you could see a white cloud come out from underneath it,
yeah,
and that's telling me that something propelled. And I'm going to say it was more than the electromagnetism that we're always talking about.
right,
If you also notice, some of these craft when they're moving through the sky, I actually have video. I have video of them going over Polina Peak, to
right,
where you have the it's a hydrogen cone, like what you get on the military jets. They call it cutting the vapor. What
right,
they're doing is it's creating a hydrogen bubble around the craft.
wow,
Well, that's another thing. When people are videoing these craft, you're going to be videoing, and sometimes when they're moving at certain speeds, you're going to see that hydrogen bubble around it. You're not going to get a very clear picture of the craft because
right.
you had this
You
hydrogen
destroyed
bubble. Yeah.
exactly. So
So
Shannon is asking you a question. She says, Terry, can they make hydrogen from nuclear? Because I noticed there are a lot of ships over their plants.
well, that's another thing is atoms. Hydrogen has atoms in it, just like everything else. It has uh, molecules and atoms. And when you split an atom, it becomes nuclear. It's your
Right,
nuclear. Um, you go down. Things become subatomic. It's a subatomic level when you start splitting atoms. It's subatomic when you're getting into things. Photons, for example, the light that we're seeing right
right,
now, that's a subatomic reaction, and it's something that we live with, but we don't realize is happening around us all the time. You really don't want to see what's on your fingernails and things like that and under them. That's all subatomic.
right,
And when you realize that we are completely covered in worms and things like that, people get kind of grossed out.
right,
But at the same time, if you take a look at what we are part of like a molecule, our sun being the nucleus of that molecule, and it goes even larger and larger and larger, ever expanding, ever shrinking. So if you look at that, everything is nuclear in a sense.
right,
Radioactive, now that's totally a different thing. Radioactive, we have different elements on the planet that like plutonium, um, things like uranium. We have you go to the periodic scale, you'll see everything that is
everything on there.
considered radioactive.
Well,
I
John Dickinson says my granddad had a water vapor bottle in his old pickup truck, and then he says, he said the hydrogen gave him better gas mileage. He said a bottle had to have a penny in it. Huh?
little copper, yep, a little bit of copper.
A little bit of
That
coppers,
you put that copper. Copper's an ancient tool.
right?
They used it for like the Baghdad battery.
Hmm.
What they would do is they would use a copper rod that went down, and they would fill it full of like I'm going to go ahead and say grapefruit juice because it's got a really high acid level.
Acidic. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then they could put the little top on it, put a little end out the top, put a little end out the side, and now what you have is you got a positive and a negative, and you could hook it to. I don't mean to try and dumb things down, but it's they would take and they could heat up glass or sand and make glass, and they made
yeah.
these really long tubes, and you can see it in the ancient Egyptian glyphs where they've got
Right.
these things that are holding. It's a hand on this side and a hand on this side, and it's holding a giant light bulb.
Yeah.
Well, inside of that light bulb was lamb's wool. It was lamb's wool that's what they were using for a filament, and
Well,
this is what they would
it,
use to light up the inside of the pyramids.
wow. Think about this for a second. You know how those gas lanterns, when you had to pump them and you put that little sock on there,
Hmm.
and it's made out of material, right?
Yes,
And
made out of cotton.
there you go. And then you light it up with that gas and it makes light, but a bright light. But I'm not saying they used gas. I'm just saying that maybe the same concept that they use something like you talked about, maybe
Well, they
cotton
could have easily used hydrogen. I
or
mean,
yeah, and just
yeah,
made something light up inside of there to give them some kind of light down in those dark places. Let's watch one more video real quick here, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll take a commercial break after we watch this video. All right.
all right.
Right. So this is going to be a UFO that somebody out of Arizona, I believe, he's got a YouTube channel, and he catches these beautiful craft. They're out, and they're right in front of him, man. So this is almost like what Jody Brown has out there in Arizona as well. Yeah, a middle. There you go. You will see hers is just as well. So let's check this out real quick. Wow. That is crazy, man. That's a lot of footage there that he got. It was about 2 minutes long. So, but and it's almost similar to what Jody Brown is out there, what she was catching in front of her, because she said when it made this light, it almost looked translucent. It almost like it was kind of a bluish color, she would tell me, and in the naked eye, but with her phone, it looks orange. And that's the strange thing about, she says you could see all the electricity and everything inside of it when it was right in front of me, and that pretty much looks like the same thing, don't you think?
Oh yeah, yeah. Now with the orange ball that you're looking at, the fire in the sky,
Yeah.
you go to video these things, and they look like they're bright white. You know, they look like they're bright white when they're actually they look like a campfire to our eye.
Right.
I don't know if it's the spectrum, the light spectrum that changes things. The camera has a different spectrum than we do. Um, I'm just really glad that we're able to pick these things up. I'm kind of curious to how high up and what they were using to catch that. That almost looks like drone footage to me.
Right.
That would explain a lot of the different things. And by the way, I mean that to everybody that's watching. I'm proud of all the A.S.D.P ufologists today. Thank you, uh, everybody
Awesome.
who's participating. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you.
what I read, I didn't write participating, did I?
No, it's okay.
Anyway,
We all
that's all right.
learn.
At least I said it right.
Yeah, there's a lot of us watching tonight,
There,
and there's plenty of us watching tonight. Thank you. That's and this is these are very interesting topics, that we get to talk about because not everybody gets to talk about. There's usually stuck on one thing and one thing only, and it's okay. That's
right.
nothing wrong with that either, But
No,
we're different. We are ASDP, and we're all over the place. We're global, and we
right.
talk about a lot of different things. But before we keep going, let's go ahead and just we're going to break for a real quick 30-second commercial. All righty.
Right.
And then after that, Terry's got a surprise for us right after that. Okay. So
I
let's
sure
see.
do.
Yeah. Wait till y'all see this. This is going to be so cool. All right. Here we go.
Power. That power. That
All right, guys. If you like that, that's Led's Production. That's my company, and you saw all those images. I created every single thing that's in there. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's what we do. If you need to get a hold of me, ledsproduction at gmail.com, or hit me up at 361-774-8475. I love what I do. I love making films, but we have this awesome surprise that Terry's got for us that we're going to talk about. This is why we call the show The Eye of the Beholder, right? And this is, okay, Jerry, I'll let you go ahead and bring this in. Go ahead and bring this in.
okay. One day I was I was a manager at a service station here in Oregon back when people pumped gas for the people. We changed the law recently, but I was the day shift guy, and I was the guy that took money to the bank. I was the one that worked directly with the owners every day, and I had my clientele. Well, I ran across this lady one day. Well, it was more than one day. She was a regular of mine. Her name was Dixie. I don't know if Dixie's still around. Um, she she was part of a group called Oregon Treasure Hunters, and they recently, as a group, they had purchased a mine, and she was trying to get me and my wife to come join and become members of this. And you
Right.
pay, I think it was like a $15 fee, and now you have rights to go in on the mine, and you could go in and get, you do your mining, and you had rights to a claim.
Right.
Well, one day she offered me, she says, I'm going to give you a choice. Would you like a tip in cash, or would you like a tip in the treasures that I found? And I said, you know what? I think I'll try the treasures that you found. I get cash all day long, which, kind of a rare thing for anybody to say, I guess. But she gave me a choice. So what ended up happening is she hands me this box, and she says, inside this box, there's some items in here that you'll never see anywhere else in the world. And she says, I'm going to let you pick two of them out. Well, I don't know what happened to the second part, but the first part that I picked out, I treasure. And I've shown to doctors, optometrists, I've shown to optometrists, and they told me they've never seen one like this in their lifetime either. That it's probably worth a diamond that's the same size.
Wow.
Okay. This is what a few years back I brought it out and I'd shown a bunch of different people, and nobody else has seen one either. It's known as, and this I'm the owner of this. I'm the caretaker. I would
Right
say
on.
I'm the caretaker. I'm not. I wouldn't call myself an owner. I'm the caretaker of this. This is the petrified eye. It's known as the ancient eye, and this is something that I have in my possession. And ever since I've had this in my possession, guess what I've been able to see?
Yeah.
I've been able to see UFOs and paranormal things ever since this has been in my possession. Here it is. It's got a pupil in the middle, okay, and you can see where it's got the muscle around it,
Yeah.
and the backside, if you look very closely, that's the cerebral cortex of the eye. And I had a doctor looking this over, and he told me 100% this is an eyeball. Well,
Wow.
it's also petrified or agatized or
It looks like
opalite.
glass. It looks like
If you were,
glass.
it looks just like glass. And I challenge anybody to find another one in the world. Okay. I challenge anybody to find another one and let me know. Let me know
Yeah.
if you find one. I don't want I don't want to sit here and be how would old Stone Cold say it, a mammy jammy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be talking out my butt,
Right.
but at the same time, see if I can get the pupil in there so you can see it.
Oh yeah. I could see it.
All right. This this is something that I've had in my possession for a few years before I had my sighting.
Wow. And
And
that came out of a mine, right? That she
it
dug
was
that up.
deep, deep, deep in the earth. This thing was deep in the earth when she found it. And the other part of it, I'm not sure where the rest of it is, but you see the cerebral cortex on the back. All right.
Yeah.
You see that
Yeah.
part?
Yeah.
Um, I had about that much of it. Okay. Those were the two pieces that I took. I have no idea where the back piece is, but
Oh
they
wow.
at one point they were all connected, but when she found them, they were side by side.
Right. Right.
Didn't see a skull, didn't see anything else that went with it. That's what she found. She had a feeling that's what I was going to choose out of the box, and she never, she never said no, you can't have that. She said, I told you that you could have whatever you want. Oh wow! Now what's this say? I wonder if that eye i- is going into crystal skulls. I feel like they go together. You know
Well,
what, Shannon? You have no idea how
well,
close you are to this. We've been discussing this, and I just happen to know Carolyn Ford, who owns. There's Carolyn Ford. Thank you. And I just happen to know Carolyn Ford down in Sedona, Arizona, where she has a retreat. That skull that she's holding came out of an Aztec pyramid. Okay, she she has retreats. She sells these. She sells skulls that are similar. She
right.
doesn't. She'll never sell that one. She also refers to herself as the caretaker of Einstein. Now
Right.
I'm going to give you an idea of why it's called Einstein. Okay, in German, Einstein stands for one stone.
Wow.
That's exactly what Einstein stands for. And
Mhm.
Einstein was created from one stone. That in particular, that in particular one that she is looking at and has her hands on, an ancient crystal skull. Okay. At some point, I will try it. We're kind of hoping it doesn't light up or do something weird.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
she's
I was introduced to her by Mr. Ken Wells Jr., KB Wells Jr.
yes. Yes.
He was in the middle, the last movie that we were in, and she's kind of a member. She's very busy because she tours around the whole country with the skull,
Right.
and she also sells crystal skulls that say you find yourself a nice large crystal, uh, she can send it off and have it turned into whatever type of skull you'd like.
Exactly. Exactly. And they say that because the one Ken Wells had, there was a photo of me touching it, and he says, "Man, Donna, this thing has energy." You know what I mean? He goes, "Feel it." And when I touched it, I kind of felt, kind of a calmness, but like there was something there, right, in the crystal,
Hmm.
right? So, what she has there, she says a lot of people do feel a lot of energy with that Einstein.
Hmm.
And I think we've talked to her, or you talked to her a couple of times, and I
Yeah.
talked to Ken Wells. He told me about her as well. He's got the skull. As a matter of fact, I believe we're going to have a show with Mr. Ken Wells. He wants to be on one of our shows, so
That would
we'll
be
be get
wonderful.
him. We're going to get him on here pretty soon. You're going to love that with Ken Wells. He was in our movie The Middle. He talks about petroglyphs and things like that. But you know, uh, yeah, and when Terry showed me that eye, um, the first thing we said is, I wonder. Oh, he goes, I wonder it'll fit inside of a skull head, right? And then when Shannon said it right now, that's why she hit it the nail right on
She
what we're
did.
talking about, because we thought,
Proverbial thumb in the eye.
yeah, we thought the same thing. And then what'd you say, Terry? I'm kind of afraid to do it because we don't know what the heck's going to happen, right?
Right. What happens? I mean, what if this belongs in there? And these things.
Um,
I mean, I tell you, I'm really grateful that we have the friends that we do around the world, and the fact that these things that we have. There you go. There's more crystal skulls right there. That
mhm.
that looks like Einstein from different vantage points.
I
Um,
think these are the ones that are in the British Museum. That
mhm.
they came. That I think they found them in 1893 or 1896, something like that. The one in the center, I believe, that's the two on the right. Well, one on the left, one. The one in the center is actually from Mexico. Um,
Right.
uh, was found out there.
So is Einstein is all from Mexico,
Right.
and Carolyn Ford with Einstein they were pretty much almost a whole episode of Ancient Aliens on television.
Right.
You can actually look that one up. That there was a full episode on crystal skulls, and they were talking with Carolyn Ford through most of the show, and
Right.
they actually hooked up equipment to Einstein to show that there was an aura that actually went out, projection from it,
Right.
as well as they verified that this was one of the original ancient skulls. There's like 13, I think, of them. I believe. I'm not exactly sure the number, but it is one of the original ancient skulls that that have been noted as original. Um,
She says, "Wouldn't want the eye back." Oh, Shannon. Uh, you know, Terry's had it this whole time, and
yeah,
ever since he said he's had it, he's had a lot of, he's had some, seen a lot of extraterrestrials, the crafts, premonitions, things like that that come to him, and he's, you talked about this, ever since you've had it, you've had a lot of special things happen to you, and we always wonder where did they come from exactly and why,
right.
we always talked about the Aztec culture, we saw it in the movies, things like that, they used the skull for everything. But when I read into the Aztec part of the skulls, most of their skulls were made out of basalt. That's what their skulls were made out of. So, and they were, they used them for rituals and things like that. I mean, did they use it for supernatural power or a death ritual? Right? So they had the death whistle. They had all these
Mhm.
things, because they were doing a lot of sacrificing, uh, and for the
To the sun
gods,
god,
the sun god.
to,
There you
to
go.
the sun god. Yeah,
And you kind of think about it. Why the sun? I mean, the sun's always out, right? And we know this,
mhm,
and 24 hour, 12 hours days, whatever. Um, like we saw in the movie, Apocalypto, when the eclipse came in, and then they all freaked out or whatever. Were they getting more eclipses back then? Solar eclipses to where they say, you know what, let's go ahead and sacrifice some people, and our daylight won't go away. Maybe they thought that something bad was going to happen from it.
Yeah, we're about to have a full eclipse again here in Oregon. I believe it's in October coming up. I have to look at the numbers and the dates and stuff, but I believe we're about to have another full eclipse
Right.
with the Ring of Fire eclipse, which is a solid
Solar.
eclipse.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. My suggestion is anybody that's in path of totality, you get yourself a camera of some sort. This is just a GoPro. Um, this is a night vision. I don't know if it'll help with it. I know that you use, um, it's also got a filter on it. So if you're out during the daytime,
Right.
but you don't want to take like my Nikons. You don't want to just sit there and aim it at it and try and do
Right.
that. You'll burn up your equipment.
Yeah.
You don't want to look directly at the eclipse either.
Right.
That'll mess up your eyes. However, we're about to have this, and when this is taking place, it also happens to be where people have the most sightings. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
keep in mind
Exactly.
next month we're going to have going across the United States, and I believe it's starting in Texas and working its way right up through Oregon and back
Yep.
across,
October
almost like
14th. Yep.
October 14th. Okay, and it's going to be this is the time.
Right.
While this is taking place, pay attention to what's going on around you. Okay, um, when you're looking at a moon shadow, okay, there's a song about moon shadows. When you're looking at a moon shadow, which means you're having an eclipse, is what that song's actually about. Is
Right.
when the moon goes over that, and you can actually see your shadow, but it's dark outside. This is the time to be looking around because now everything that's usually out during that time of day is exposed. Okay,
Exactly.
you're going to start seeing things when we have different types of eclipse, and that's when I had my absolute first big sighting. Mine just happened to be on a lunar eclipse where the Earth and the Moon were in alignment with the Sun, and that exact time frame is when I saw the V-shaped craft and all of that. Anyway, you have most of your big sighting. People pay attention when this happens. Get your cameras ready because you don't have to aim towards the sun. Look around you, see what's going on. Be ready to capture these things.
Right.
It only takes so long for this event to take place, and because it only takes so long for that, you can actually have a Nikon in your hand, a Canon, a Sony, night vision camera. Um, Even if you don't have a camera, you can you can see something like this right here. Here's 1,000 millimeter. That's 1,000 millimeter Simpson spotting scope. Okay,
You know,
something like that right there will help you see things that you normally wouldn't see.
my buddy there, he's part of our paranormal group, Justin Boone, because he just put, he goes, we're in the direct path, Donald. We'll get some. He's got this amazing, it's a telescope. It's one of them huge ones, that you can
Mhm.
connect it to your computer, laptop. And I think that, Justin, if you're listening, you're watching, brother, connect that thing October 14th, brother, right before this solar eclipse. I think it's going to happen around 11 something, almost at noontime, when this is going to take place, I believe. So what I'm going to do, if I'm going to try to be home that day, and then I'm going to throw 3 cameras up in the air, and I'm going to just be in the shade though, under my patio, and see if I can point it in 3 different direction areas, right? And maybe, just maybe, I'll get something on film. Hopefully.
It is ASDP. Any person that's anybody. It doesn't matter if it's ASDP. I
Right.
recommend everybody get something, even if it's just your cell phone. Okay, if you got a cell phone, they come with a camera. Okay, you can take that, and you can video all these different things, and don't expect to have a perfect picture with a cell phone. Okay.
Right.
But you'll have things. You'll have things that go by. And we could probably on UAP Weekly, we could probably do a whole show dedicated to what happened on the day of the eclipse.
Right.
We can look at pictures of the eclipse. I'm sure there's going to be billions of those.
Oh yeah.
But let's see what's going on around the eclipse. Let's
Right,
see,
exactly.
everybody's going to be out partying, having a good time. This, the whole thing right here in the area. Last time this took place here, there, the area I'm in, which is there's not very many people really in comparison to say like a Portland or
Right.
San Diego or an LA.
Right.
But when we had the eclipse, we had more people than San Diego, Portland, and LA. You know what I
Okay.
mean? The
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
as soon as the eclipse was done, we had a traffic jam that went all the way from Bend, Oregon, or Prineville, Oregon, all the way out Lapine, and that those cars that were leaving didn't stop. The traffic didn't stop for like 3 hours. I mean, I'm telling you, this area was just there were that many people all of
Yeah.
a sudden that came from all over the country just to
Right.
be in the totality. And
Well,
you're going to have the same thing in Texas. Hotels, you guys better get ready. Campgrounds, you better get ready. You guys,
you know,
you're
you
going to
know
be
what be
overwhelmed.
you know what would be great?
Hmm.
Just get a taco truck, brother, and park it out there.
I'm telling you right now. You know what? We need to talk to Danny Trejo. He
There
could
you
help us
go.
out with that.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
Danny
Yep.
Trejo. If you're listening,
That's right.
we need a Trejo truck.
We need a Trejo taco truck out there, brother.
That's right.
Make some eclipse fajita tacos, whatever. Anyway,
He's got good tacos, by the way.
yeah, he does. I heard. I don't know, but I heard. So we got one more video before we close out. Let's go ahead and watch this. This actually happened. You were talking about California. This happened in California about a month ago, I believe. This little kid was outside, and he sounds like probably about 9 or 10 years old, and he's taping this whole with his phone. This thing unfolds. So just let's check this out, okay?
You need to get the boys. Did the kids come out to look?
Yeah, like how did that
Did you see it though when it was over here? It looked so crazy. It looked like it's on fire.
it is? Here.
I don't think that's it. That sound comes from over there.
That's the noise, isn't it?
So everybody always says they don't tape long enough. There's always short. Well, this was pretty long. So
That was pretty long.
yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts of that? Do you think it's a rocket, or do you think it's an actual craft? That's the hard thing to kind of see through the actual the video itself.
Well, rockets usually don't turn like that. So from it looked like you could see it hovering for a moment. It stayed in one spot, then you saw it go up again, and then you saw it start kind of towards them.
Right.
It somewhat looked like there may have been a little bit of a tail behind it, but I think what you got there is very much like the fire in the sky down in Snowflake, Arizona. You got your orange ball that is that's actually very prevalent right where I'm at. I can go out at certain times at night and I see these things moving around. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be real soon here. I'm going to be heading out towards Crook County,
Right.
And I'm gonna be me and my team are gonna be up on top of there's an area where cattle mutilations have taken place several times over and over and over. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to be in that location, and we're going to try and get as many of those as we can get, because that's something that's common here.
Right.
We see these things going over us. They go over my house. Um, they go over. They move their way across Paulina Peak. They
Right.
head out into the what we call the Oregon Outback, and then you also see them going northbound and kind of a northeastern,
Well,
and
let,
that
let's
puts them right over that location.
let's ask the
That looks
question.
like
Let's ask the question, Terry, of as a normal residential area person that owns a homeowner, whatever, in something
mhm,
like this. Now, if you're going to have a rocket uh, launch, let's just say, and you're around in a residential, I mean, do you think that they're going to fly over a residential area to where you can actually see this thing going, and it slows down almost where the palm trees at by his
right.
house, and then it kind of goes a little slower, and then it starts moving. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to just understand if it's a rocket or it's a UFO, right?
Well,
So, I
yeah,
mean, wouldn't we get some kind of warnings? Hey, we're going to shoot a rocket into that area, because what if something happens? Malfunction, yada, yada.
right.
It comes
Uh,
down,
Cape,
it falls on top
Cape
of our house.
Canaveral, Cape Canaveral, they launch over the ocean. Houston launches over the ocean.
Right.
Um, Down in California, I don't know exactly what city it is, but when Elon is launching his rockets, he puts them out to where they're over the ocean, and when they come back and they land out on like a spit.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no housing around. I agree with you on that. That's another one of those things to where, I mean, it's not like the Marine Corps and somebody's going to eject out and they're just going to send it to South Carolina,
Right. Exactly.
but that's when an accident happens.
An F thirty
Um,
two.
right, exactly. I've seen the milk cartons and everything lately.
Yeah. uh, I mean, and that's just it's an investigative question. Would you
Mhm.
be flying that over a residential area? No, I don't think so. Me
No,
personally, because there's too much risk factor involved. If something happens, if it's a rocket, so we might weed that out as a rocket. I'm thinking, because
yeah, I
unless
don't see it
it
as
had
that.
a missed trajectory to where it launched and it took off a different direction. I mean, uh, accidents do happen, right? I mean, as far as like
Right. Well,
trajectory.
there was that one time President Barack Obama was at a conference up in it was Iceland. He was at a conference there, and the Russians had launched during some type of missile test, I think is what it was,
Mhm.
and everybody looked up and they saw this thing doing a spiral, and
Right.
you know how it looks like the thing you see on the wall,
Yeah, portal.
that yeah, like the Indians put up there, or
Right.
something to that, or the I'm just gonna go ahead and start Indians because they did it in every culture, but
Right.
that big spiral, it looked a lot like something like that, but it was that in particular one was explained, and it was because there was just a spent fuel pushing this rocket. It made it look, I think it was green, kind of a green looking. I'm assuming
Yeah.
that there was some kind of copper in the fuel.
Right.
Um, anyway, the that's explainable. Where something like that right there. Did you hear about that on the news by chance?
Nope. Not that one.
Me either. And they usually tell us when something like that happens because they want to try and explain it away.
Right.
As when you see stuff like that, the news media, they jump on stuff like that immediately to try and get it dismissed as fast as possible.
Right.
And and whether or not it's an actual UFO, something that they don't understand, or
An
a
alien that they found in Mexico.
there you go.
Right.
Now yeah, they've actually they keep trying to dismiss this thing in Mexico,
Right.
and what you've ended up with is you've got people. I think it was the Mexican Navy started doing tests on this, and they verified that this thing actually had a skeletal remain. That one of them was complete. Another one looked like maybe it had been um, um, mutilated in the process of the crash,
Right.
and they put a hand backwards and things like that, trying to put it into place when they buried them, and they were But you keep in mind that these people were ancient people that originally put this away. That's why they were in the condition. Things things turn to stone over years. Okay,
There you
things
go. You
become
got it.
opalized. Things
Yep.
become rock. Okay,
The eye of the
someday
beholder.
we're
Hmm.
the eye of the beholder, and at some point we are either going to be dust or we're going to make the right exact whatever. It,
Element.
I plan on being cremated myself,
Yeah.
so I don't turn into something like that and they can dig me up. I'm going to be on a beach or something. Actually,
Right.
they're going to put me on top of the guides. That's where I'm going. I'm
Nice.
going to spread out there. That's my spot. So,
Right on.
and I'll be ash. I will be able to go into the earth and be part of whatever that location is. Now, these they do mummification. That just happens to be something that they were experts in back then, and really
And
good at it. All the
climate.
ancient cultures,
The climate had a lot to do with it too. It was dry, it was cold, up in those
right?
areas. A lot of people, they didn't even bury, they just kind of left them there, sit in a
Right.
fetal position. I actually saw one that they had one, I don't know what it was. I saw it today. It was kind of awful, but it was a child and they had it in chains. It was a chain around its neck and its hand. It was bound, and they had it like that, and it was mummified in Peru. It was an old mummified child. I mean, why would they put it in a chain? That's. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what happened back then. They didn't have news, and
No,
I don't know how much what they wrote or anything like that. Back then, to for us to know their history. We know their history because of the people that are still there. They're still within the same bloodline,
right.
the same bloodline. But it's hard to say exactly what kind of ritualistic things were
Uh,
happening.
I want you to think back to the old Art Bell shows. He had made a comment. He had made a comment on his show. He says, "You know why they haven't landed yet and talked with us and started doing, where they're interacting with us a lot? Think about it for a second. You do just that, and you're going to have every single guy out there with a shotgun, a Coors in his hand, and they're going to shoot at this thing because it doesn't have its freaking papers, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what the problem is. You got a bunch of people that'll go out there and they're going to take it as a threat first, and they're going to try and kill it before it tells us what it even freaking wants,
right,
right? So now here we are. Now everybody hears stories. They're scared of what they hear about abduction. We've got people that tell stories of bad things that happened while they've been on the craft, if they've
right.
been abducted. We
Yes,
got people that talk about missing time. We got people. We have people that will tell you that they've had conversations with these things. That it was the most wonderful thing. My experience, my personal experience, when I had the eye to eye contact, me and my stepson, we had complete calm go over us. We weren't afraid.
right.
It didn't scare. When I had a fight or flight moment that took place with me, and when this large gray, I'm going to just go and call it gray. I bounce back and forth on what I want to call it, but I'm going to call it a large gray. It was large. It was bigger than me, and it was doing this thing where it did this across the screen. And it looked over and it looked at me and it smiled. As
Yeah,
soon as it smiled, fight or flight kicked in. I had a 1911 45 in the car. Okay, had a license to carry it, totally legal to do so.
yeah,
I chose flight. And
right.
what I did was is I popped the clutch on the car and I was just going around a corner and at the end of the street is where I worked. And I popped that clutch and I'd never it's a little Subaru Impreza and that damn thing's never moved that fast in its entire time the car had been created. I got the hell out of there. I
Yeah,
didn't know what was next.
yeah,
I think mostly I didn't want to be late for work because I really liked the job.
right.
But But as soon as I parked the car, I thought to myself, "What did you just do?" And I took off running back down the street, and it was gone. It was long
It's
gone.
gone already. Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
it
I mean,
was.
and a lot of people are going to hear that story in the middle part too. They're going to actually see some kind of like visions of what you went through. There's going to be
Mhm.
some visuals in there. And because you didn't have a camera with you or anything like that when it took
No,
place.
I never thought. Okay, so my thoughts of being prepared back then was carrying a pistol with me. I had
Right.
a cell phone somewhere on me, but at the time, I couldn't tell you where it was, even in the car at that point.
Wow.
Nowadays, I'm different, man. I see this here. That's 2 Sony recorders for interviewing people. I'm telling you right now, this is I'm
Right on.
prepared.
Right on.
You
Well,
know, I got night vision, I got lights, I got cameras, I got everything I need. And what I need next is I need a conversation with them. That I'm not afraid. Okay, so
right.
I'm willing to have that conversation if they want to have it with me. Maybe they can hear us through our show. Um,
Oh, speaking
there,
speaking speaking of,
yeah.
we're going to have a guest next Friday. She's from England. Her name's Karen Pratt. She's going to be telling her story on extraterrestrials that she had was in contact with as a child as well, but even more so. She's got a lot of good things to say, about what she experienced. She's got paintings of because she's an artist as well, so she's going to be explaining a lot of those things. Then we had a gentleman call today that where he's probably going to be on the show after her. He's actually had some horrible abductions in Alaska, so we're going to be talking about that as well. That's going to be coming up on a follow-up show. But Terry, I know we got to close out already, but you got anything to say before we close out?
I absolutely do. I want to let everybody know that disclosure starts with your story and respect. Okay, so if you have a story, get a hold of us at A.S.D.P. We're not only here to believe what you've got to say, but we're here to respect what you got to say. Okay, give us a call. He's put the numbers out there. We have a website. You can probably answer your own questions on there and make sure that it gets to one of our representatives from around the world. It's not just here in the USA, but from
Right.
around the world. We've got them in Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, England, wherever you live. Give us a call. Let us know what you've got going on. Okay. We're going to make sure your story gets out there. And if it's a story that we deem reasonable, you're going to find yourself being interviewed if you'd like. And you'll be here talking with Mr. Donald Ledesma on Alien Strand Podcast.
That's right. All right, brother. Thank you for being on the show today. You gave a lot of nice insights. Thank you for showing the eye of the beholder today. That was very surprising. I'm glad everybody kind of freaked out on that. It's strange, but there it is again. Wow. If in audio world, you guys need to see this. We're going to post some links to the video and some photos of this, so you guys can see what this actually looks like. All right. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you, brother. And it's a heck of a thing that you have there. Keep it in good hands. We'll talk to you soon. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. We talked about many things of the unknown. The spiritual realm. Unfortunately, we didn't get into that. We lost track of it, but we're going to do it on the next one. Thank you for everybody for chiming in. Shannon, Mr. Justin Boone, we had Christina Alman, we had Lions Pride was here today. Thank you. It's just Ryan Keaton, man, he's one of our brothers, man. He's on there as well today. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for watching it. John Dickinson, thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, follow us on ASDP-UFO.com, Paranormal, anything like that. If you've got, if you're a researcher, you want to represent ASDP, give us a call on Instant Messenger between me and Terry Lynch, and we'll give you an interview, and then we'll put you right on the website with everybody else. All right. But I hope you guys got a lot of information out of today's podcast. It's if you guys want to be a sponsor, get a sponsorship on this show, you give me a holler, and we'll put you on as we'll get you a commercial on there, and you guys get a 30-second spot. Hey, what more can you ask for? It'll help your business, and it helps everything out in the long run. All right. But until then, you know what I always say, right? You guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night.
Hi, this is A.S.D.P. ufologist Jody Brown from Arizona, and you are watching Alien Strand Podcast with host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.